Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pro Wrestling World Talks with Dan and Mac.
Well, I remember a couple of years ago when I decided that I wanted to get more into the wrestling-related podcasting business. I had a feeling that the industry was going to go through somewhat of, I guess, what has been referred to as the Renaissance era. And last week was another huge chapter in what has been an absolute phenomenal last 3 years in the world of professional wrestling. Or you could say, I guess, in WWE land. Because if you listen to others, everybody would tell you that professional wrestling has been doing great since about 2019. Good evening, everybody. Or good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're listening to this program. I'm your host of PWW Talks, your host, Daniel Burke, and I am joined, as forever, by my co-host and my hetero life mate and best friend for over 20 years, Mac. Thanks again for coming on to the program.
It was a weekend.
Sure was, wasn't it?
It was definitely a weekend. Not to be confused with the fact that, somebody made us kind of miss the first few minutes of the show.
Ooh,
Jesus Christ, that whole thing was a debacle. And I knew it was. I knew, it's
Well,
just...
listen,
every
at
time
6 o'clock rolls around. He asked what time the event starts, and we say 7 o'clock. That should have been the indication right there that we should probably figure out food.
That should be the time of place where it's like everybody needs to figure out, hey, let's do this. He's done this on more than one occasion.
Oh, I
like he even did it with Stephanie once, where Stephanie was just about to kill him. Like it was. I've never seen her that hangry before, and I knew it was coming. Like I'm just like you have to understand, my friend, that we need to figure out something very quickly, or we're gonna be in a DEFCON 5 situation. Because already going into that, I knew she was hungry, and I'm like, look, we'll literally figure out food. And it's like an hour later, and we're still trying to figure out the food situation. It's like, but yeah. Other than that, Elimination Chamber is going to go down as a historic event for WWE. Some could argue it may have been one of the best finishes to an event that has ever happened at the Sky Dome before. Because if you look at WrestleMania 18, the main event shouldn't have ended the way it did, and then WrestleMania 6, the wrong guy won. But this past Saturday night has historic implications. And instead of kind of leading off with that, it is going to be probably the major segment of the program. We have decided that we're going to do things kind of sequentially. So we will address that, the elephant in the room, later on in the program. So that way we don't kind of bind things up as the way it be. Because, of course, when we get to that segment, that is going to be the dominant segment of the program, without question. And, of course, if you don't know, if you're living under a rock and you don't know what happened, I will kind of spoil things and just say that, of course, we are talking about the return of Randy Orton.
You're goddamn right.
Yes.
And Shade Cargill.
And Jade Cargill. We are leading off with Jade Cargill pretty much, because the leading off the event, which we figured it was going to be, was the Women's Elimination Chamber. And as Mac has alluded to, Jade Cargill made her return and totally kicked the crap out of Naomi.
So I thought it was very funny. I had to go rewatch to grab some of these pictures, obviously, and grab the videos because I don't know if anybody's watching this. There's animation going on for the 6-woman chamber. I'll have that throughout the matches for Elimination Chamber. But really, I was surprised it happened to start the match. I figured that this would be like, or somebody would get eliminated, the doors would open, her music would hit, she'd come out. Kind of like Logan Paul had done I think last year or 2 years ago maybe, when he fought Seth Rollins. I think it was 2 years ago, where he came out, kind of interrupted the match, got in there, hit a move on Seth Rollins, and then screwed him over. I figured something like that was going to happen. Nope, bell rings. As soon as the bell rings, her music hits within 5 seconds. She comes out. It's Naomi and Liv Morgan to start the match. Liv's freaking the hell out. And I will give Jade credit. It looked like she was about to swing at Liv Morgan. But then she makes more of a wind-up and starts just beating the hell out of Naomi. So
Yeah.
I was shocked.
It was. I mean, I was shocked, but I wasn't shocked only because of the fact that I think that
the way it started, though.
The way it started, because I expected this was going to go later on in the matchup, correct?
Yeah.
And immediately, it's just like to right out of the gun, they don't replace Naomi. So it's pretty much she's been eliminated, but she's not. And, Jade does not replace her. It's happened before. There was the famous Edge Elimination Chamber where I think he was the WWE champion coming in. And or it was the other way around. I forget. This is over 15 years, folks. So bear with me. But he lost in the opening match, the championship that he had, and then he wasn't even scheduled for the main event, which was for the other title, and he attacked Kofi Kingston with a chair, took a spot, and walked out with the other championship. One of the better Edge. He had some great ones. He had some great years where it was just like, all right, that was pretty good. I can't really knock him for that.
When Brock won on the lead up to, I believe it was 38, they did the similar thing with Bobby Lashley, where he got hurt in the pod, he never came out, so they just marked him as eliminated. So this kind of fell in with that, I guess. Set the precedent a couple years ago for that. The one thing that I found hilarious right after this is they announced that she's been eliminated. Liv Morgan goes up to Bianca Belair's pod and just like, that's your fault. That's your fault. And then, of course, who's the next person out? Bianca Belair.
Bianca.
Yep.
It just completely throttles her. And
she ran to the entrance first to check on her, and then Liv attacked her, and then she
and then it pretty much just that it's let's just say that Bianca's whole thing about this whole situation, as the kids would say nowadays, is sus. So it's pretty much that's what I'm getting from this whole situation right now. It's like, this is all kind of weird. You wonder how this whole thing is going to play out. But Bianca Belair.
Well, before you get there, real quick, kudos to Liv Morgan again, having another standout match.
Great performance.
She was the Iron Woman, so to speak, of the Elimination Chamber. She was the first two. And she was the last one eliminated.
Even though that she really didn't start until Bianca came in because
that's true.
Jade did all the work for her to open the match. It wasn't like how in the main event, how Drew and it was Drew and Seth who started, I believe.
I believe so, yeah.
And Seth made it pretty much until almost the end, so it was
listen, he was the second to last eliminated, and was really only by about a minute.
That's true.
We'll get to that later. But before we get to the winner here, which you've kind of already spoiled a little bit, but I had this picture out because I remember the moment in this match when this happened, where Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan are at the top of the pod, and it was probably Bianca's loudest hair whip that I've ever heard. And probably the most gnarliest looking, too, after the fact. Just utterly whips the hell out of Liv Morgan with her hair. I think it was the loudest shot I heard all night. And there were a lot of loud shots in the night.
It's pretty satisfying to... some of those sounds sometimes with that hair whip is extremely satisfying to hear. But it also, it's just like, because it's just like, again,
this was one
it sounds gnarly.
I will listen. I mean, they showed Liv Morgan constantly after that match. It was like all around her. I don't know how Bianca Belair's hair can move like that. It was on her back, over her side, across her stomach. Like, that was wild. I've
Liv
never seen
Morgan,
it like that.
I am extremely proud of what Liv Morgan has kind of become because, for a long time, she was kind of labeled like a pretty face and not much else. But as an in-ring performer, she has grown immensely.
I think that I think it was like 2021, 2022. I think that's when people were kind of like, she's way more than just that.
Yeah, no, I think the last it was right before when she won the Money in the Bank. Everybody was definitely on that. Like everybody
Yep.
was just like, "Yep, right call."
Yep.
So I think it was, and actually that was. I remember Rhonda was
She
pissed
cashed in
about
on
that
Ronda.
because
Yeah,
she was just
because
like
it was supposed to be.
it was supposed to be Lacey Evans,
Thank you.
and
Yep.
then Liv Morgan, and then Vince made the call that day. It was like, no, it's going to be Liv, and it's just like, okay, Vince wasn't completely senile at that point because he even knew, no, it's got to go to Liv. I don't care if this is what we had set plans. I'm pivoting. I'm going to Liv, and it's like he even knew she was over as fuck. So it's not this organic thing. It's not Triple H playing favorites and things of that nature. She's earned the spot she's in.
Yep, 100%.
She's knocked everything out of the park that she's been handed, and she's going to be around for a long time because she loves this shit. This is the type she's like Bailey to me, where it's like they both are like lifers, and no one really kind of expected, I think, or kind of slept on them as far as their their talent is concerned and where they're going to be is, and then both of them as in-ring performers are one of the better ones in the history of the company for women.
Totally
So,
agree. Yep.
and Liv is completely turning into that, where she's a definite workhorse, somebody that you can put in a spot and have complete confidence in, and also extremely reliable because she just takes beatings in these matches, and the next day she's just like, "Yep, I'm back to work."
Yep, 100%. Yeah, I mean, listen, for what we got out of this match, despite the opening and giving a very quick elimination because of it, kudos to Jade Cargill for not being in the match but still getting an elimination, I guess.
Yes.
Your winner is Bianca Belair, which we'll talk a little bit more about what the potential match is for WrestleMania a little bit later, because Raw happened.
Drastically on Raw.
Yeah, Raw happened, and we'll have to talk a little bit about that. But yeah, your winner is Bianca Belair, which truthfully it was the right move.
Yes.
Like whether or not disregard Monday for a second. Naomi and potentially Bianca were going to have a match with Jade Cargill. Obviously, as time went on during the night, which didn't take long, we found out that's probably going to be Naomi versus Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. I think Alexa is just too early to come back and to be put in that kind of a position. We still really don't know what's going to happen with Bailey and Roxanne Perez. Maybe they have another match.
Probably that's a Mania match.
Yeah, I'm seeing that work its way out there on the internet now, so I don't know. So and Liv Morgan, she just challenged for the championship. She just lost it. Put her in the back a little bit. You also had Bianca really kind of stuck in the tag team division this last year because of the whole thing of getting Jade Cargill up and over. And I think it's time to put her back in the main event. So, this is the right move, truthfully.
Like I said last week, we both kind of said Bianca makes the most sense.
Yep.
The question is now what we'll get more to it when we talk about Monday, but this at least Saturday night was like, okay, things are falling into place where they need to be, and this kind of was like, okay, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that, and then Monday kind of just threw a wrench in everything, where you're just like, well, shit. Now what?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, but we'll get there when we get there.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So the next match was the tag team match: Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae.
The dream team, I guess you could say, of Trish Stratus,
Tippy and Trishita.
Tippy and Trishy.
Yep.
That just it had a great ring to it, without question, and that old and the old version, new version type deal. It still works, and the fact is that Trish Stratus is still a goddamn 11. We were arguing about it. We're just like talking about it. We're like, well,
she's a smoke.
Like how is it that it's like it's just stayed steady for a quarter century? It's like where she's still in like the upper echelon of the industry as far as babe of the year. Where that's kind of where you put Trish Stratus now, as far as that's concerned. It's like the silver anniversary of being the hottest woman, one of the hottest women in pro wrestling, and that's
tagging with the current, or one of the current holders of that title, I would say.
It's like Trish Stratus has been retired full time out of the company, going on almost 20 years now. And she can sit there with the last 20 years and be like, I'm still in like the top 5 or top 10 of the best looking women. And I haven't even had to be full time for 20 years. And it's just like, yeah, that's true. I mean,
she looks better and younger than Charlotte Flair. So,
goddamn.
There you go.
I mean, and just her teaming. So it was a nice moment. Of course, too, with Trish. They called her up and they're just like, hey, we're doing the Rogers Center. Do you want to be there? Yeah, 35,000, sure. Like, I'm there. And I think, too, teaming up with Tiffany Stratton, the new blonde bombshell of the new era of blonde bombshell, which I guess you could say Liv Morgan would probably be like, hey, what about me? It's like, okay, there's 2 of you. Jeez. Like, you want to be a team at this point now? Just be the Blonde Bombers? That was actually a tag team at one point.
Smoke.
Male side. The Blonde Smokes. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this match was pretty much cookie cutter as far as, the person who's going to take the fall took the fall. But again, I think it was just...
I think everybody knew who was winning this match.
Yes, it's like, wow, Trish Stratus is from Toronto, and she's going to be wrestling in Toronto. Yeah, like, who's not going to... She's going to lose.
Trish Stratus, like the 40-something, blonde bombshell with the WWE Women's Champion, also a blonde bombshell. The Hall of Famer is in her hometown. Like, come on.
Well, if Vince was booking, she probably would have lost.
No, I don't think she would have. I think she would have maybe eaten a move or two more than she did, but I think she still would have won.
That's true. If Vince was booking, it would be in Oklahoma, and he'd have JR out there in a pig costume. Like,
Stone Cold!
Do that.
Stone Cold! Stone Cold's not here, JR.
Goddamn, I'm a pig! I'm a pig, Austin. I need you to help me. I'm a pig.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, damn Vince McMahon made me dress up as a pig.
Yep. Yep. I got nothing. Listen, this match was exactly what we thought it was going to be. I don't think we really just spent a whole lot of time on this, but, this was a good segue for Tiffany to get even more over than she is, before she goes to WrestleMania to face Charlotte, but,
I feel bad because it's like we're obviously but everybody I think knows it's like where the major talking points are coming.
Yeah.
So it's like the first couple of these, it's like the women's match. We're gonna go through the highlights. We're gonna go through the highlights of this, which really there weren't that many. This match was kind of just like I hate to say it was a piss match, but a piss break match because it really wasn't because Tiffany is
involved. Yeah.
Yeah, it really wasn't because of who was involved. But Now, the way that they do their entrances and their vignettes in between it, it's almost like they have the piss breaks in between the matches anyway, so it's fine.
Yep.
Because there's plenty of times it's like, well, I'm going to go outside for a, smoke. And you come back in, you didn't miss anything. So it's like, so they kind of are just like, no matches are piss breaks now. We'll just give you a piss break in between every match.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Seriously.
Like, which I don't understand why people don't argue, why they argue about that. We're just like, the actual wrestling of the show. It's just, yeah, but it's fucking memorable. Everybody's still talking about it. But
you're also getting it for, like, depending on your plan, like $8.
speaking of that, and I hate to, it's a good segue because I was reading the news this week. Mark Shapiro, who is a member of the UFC and WWE board, a member of the TKO board, was talking this week that UFC is thinking about dropping their premium price of pay-per-views, meaning that there is an opportunity in their next TV rights deal, media rights deal, that they end up somewhere and we will no longer have to pay the premium price for a UFC pay-per-view, which I think is fantastic.
I agree.
Where a lot of these companies are starting to move away from that model. And the fact is that because I'm a subscriber to ESPN Plus, had UFC decided to, it's just going to be part of your subscription, I probably would have watched a lot more events. I probably would have cared more.
Oh, yeah, same.
I
Absolutely.
probably would have had more invested. But when you start coming up with, oh, you have to pay extra on top of it. Oh, and it's just another regular pay-per-view. It's like, well, what the fuck am I doing then? Because it's just, that doesn't make any sense to me. And it's like, because we're at that point now where it shouldn't be about that. Like, your money should be your live gate and your, and because you're paying now, getting paid for the content a lot more in general of what you're going to do for your pay-per-view year now. It's just, and no one has that money anymore. I mean, that's one thing I guess that's done okay for everybody in the economy of being a wrestling fan now, because it's like, we're not really paying outrageous prices anymore for pay-per-views. It's like WrestleMania, I got to pay as low as $5 to $10. That's the argument I've always made with people now, because it's like, we're not paying what we were 10 to 15 years ago. Oh my God, those $80 WrestleMania pay-per-views. I do not miss those.
I mean, listen, who does, man? Like, just being honest, like, who really misses that? Ain't me. Tell you that right now.
Not me. Not me at all. But yeah.
But
that could be the model now that they're going with. And speaking of pay-per-view models, which I thought was going to be, remember when their whole thing was with AEW was they're going to be, once they go to Max, they were going to be on getting simulcast on pay-per-view.
Yep.
It was announced this week that that their pay-per-views will now be available on Amazon Prime in the United States and Canada. Which again gave me the question, what about Max? I think I might have said that on their
pretty sure you did, actually.
actually, I think I said that on their page when they made that announcement, and I just said, "What about Max?" And it's just because it's the question that I think that this was supposed to be a part of the deal, where it's like, okay, when's this going to happen? Like the first pay-per-view, I understood. Okay, maybe they don't have the technology yet. Now it's okay. It's not happening yet. It's just,
hold on. Why wouldn't they have the technology? They have boxing.
yeah, I know, but at the same time, it's like, well, actually, they don't have boxing.
Thought it was on.
They haven't had boxing in years.
Jeez.
Yeah, they stopped that.
So much I actually watched Max.
Yeah, no, they haven't. Right before they went to that medium too. I was surprised because boxing and HBO was like hand in hand. Like that was peanut butter and jelly throughout my whole life. And it's just all of a sudden one day it's like, yeah, they don't carry boxing anymore. I'm like, what? Like you just I don't know if that's a dent how far boxing has fallen or how HBO has fallen or vice versa.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Because I just remember the 2000s, everything HBO was doing was turning to gold. Mostly because of The Sopranos, but you know they had The Wire, which was doing fantastic. They had all these other great shows, and then I don't know when the switch kind of just happened, where things just started to kind of like, we don't have the same magic that we used to. What happened here?
I feel like they put a lot into Game of Thrones. I think that's part of it.
That's it. I think that they, because there were some of those episodes that cost a ton of money.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
And then they like, it was like the Battle of the Bastards happened, and then after that, it was just like,
yep. Yep.
it was one of the biggest roller coaster dips I've ever seen in my entire life. It's kind of like the.
No, I mean that last season just. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm not going to ruin anything. I'm not going to spoil it if people want to watch it, especially with the new House of the Dragon show and all that. But I hated it. I
know
thought the last season was awful.
Did you? I'm glad that you didn't get mad about the meme that I put up literally the next day when I just said, "Sorry about your dragon show."
No, I didn't care. I didn't care. I mean, listen, I was one of those. Let's go there for a second. I was one of those people because I know where you're going to go with this if I don't say it, so I might as well say it now. I was one of those people that I adopted a different show, which I'll say in a second, a little bit later. I think it was like a season or two past, and I caught up, and I really enjoyed it. And that show was The Walking Dead. And it got to a point for me, and Dan knows this, because Dan would make fun of me constantly for this, got to a point for me where I just could not defend it anymore. And I had gone through the comics, I'd read up on them, all that stuff.
I drove you nuts. I'm like, how are they going to end it? How are they going to end it? And you're just like, shut up. I'm like, how are they going to end it? How are they going to end it? They have no ending. They have no ending.
By the time, though, that it got really outlandish in the sense of it no longer even followed the comic. Because, listen, there are some things you could sit there and be like, okay, like that doesn't follow the comic 100%, but they adapted it to a point where it made sense. Fine. And I defended that. But the thing that got me was when they killed off Carl and Rick disappeared. I was like, I'm going to just, drop my pencil here because I'm holding it. I'd pretend I threw it because I hated it. I fucking hated it. And it really got to that point where I just could not defend it. And the other shows, like Fear the Walking Dead, I think by season 2 or 3, they killed somebody off, and I'm just like, why? Right? Like, I get it. It's a zombie show, but why? Right? And then they had all these other, like, tie-ins and stuff that I'm just like, I'm done. Like, I forget the character's name, the one that Norman Reedus plays, and now there's, like, Walking Dead France or whatever the fuck it is called,
God,
man. I'm like, really? Is this... First of all, how the hell does he end up in France? And second of all, why is he there? Like, I couldn't keep up with it anymore. Even if I wanted to, which I don't, I'm just like, why? Just why?
It's like when Storage Wars had versions of like Dallas and like, other parts of the country. You're just yeah. I mean,
that was it for me, man. Once he left the show and he wasn't on the other shows, I was like, forget it. I'm not watching it anymore.
Well, the only reason I wanted to, there were two reasons I watched.
I know, Brandy.
Well, it was Barry Weiss too.
Barry Weiss was pretty funny.
Barry's the man. Barry is fantastic, and then of course Brandy, because she's a fine girl. What can you say? Yeah.
Man, she was too good for Jared. That's all I'm gonna say.
Woo, man.
She was way too good for him.
You always wondered. It's just like, Barry Wood. Come on, just go with Barry. Barry would be not a problem there. It's just like one of the Barry would treat her like gold. She wouldn't even know what to do.
Yeet. Anyway.
Barry Wood.
The next match, yeah, Barry. I think a lot of people would, but Barry would too. The next match, though, was the unsanctioned match between KO and Sami Zayn.
5 stars from Dave Meltzer, by the way, for this.
Even though the barbed wire was gigged, he still gave it 5 stars.
He still gave it 5 stars. Okay. Dave Meltzer gave this match 5 stars. Actually, this was a very highly rated pay-per-view as far as Meltzer is concerned for WWE.
It might. I don't know. It might be 0.
I think he gave the women's match like 4.5 stars.
As he should have.
I think he gave the men's match either 4.5 or 4.75 stars. So, which, for him, this might be one of the more highly rated pay-per-views that Mr. Meltzer has rated for the company, which I kind of, I guess Tony didn't send him a check, but who knows?
I mean, maybe they're fighting again. Seems like they fight every so often, so maybe that's something to do with it. But yeah, this listen, man, for what we got out of this, I was surprised no blood. I'll say that first.
Fucking brutal, though.
Yep. I'm only surprised because of the barbed wire chair, which, gigged or not, I'm surprised one of them didn't bleed. We both went into this thinking that Sammy was going to win, and that's not what happened.
No.
They booked KO to win.
But you understood after the match.
Yeah, you understood after the match why. And that made it make sense, so let's just jump right to it. The Viper, Randy Orton, the apex predator of WWE, has made his return to stop KO from pile driving Sami Zayn on the concrete. So, we're recording this on Friday, by the way, so we have no idea if he's back there tonight to cut a promo against KO, which I wouldn't be surprised about. I wouldn't be surprised with a lot of things that happened on SmackDown this week. But, yeah, Randy Orton's back. I'm surprised.
And it's going to be Orton KO at Mania.
Yeah, this obviously sets that up, right? I was surprised he didn't come back at the Rumble. It makes sense now why, obviously. They put Sammy out on the shelf maybe for a little bit. Most likely he doesn't even have a WrestleMania match, which now you can kind of explain a little bit because of the brutality of this match. And then you free yourself up for KO and Randy Orton.
He really, Randy Orton has become cursed because the last time he returned, CM Punk came back, and tonight he returns, and something else happens. It's the world is not talking about him returning. And we mentioned earlier.
As far as I'm concerned, that doesn't happen.
My friend, I love the consistency.
I was gonna say, at least I'm fucking consistent, man.
No, you are consistent. I love the consistency, and I appreciate the consistency. But at the same time, I have to sit here and I have to say that this next moment, that brings us to the men's match, which, it's going to go down. It's going to go down in history as one of course, we're talking about the aftermath of it, but at the same time, this match,
not even the match. It's the aftermath.
The match, this match though is still it is good. An excellent match.
It was good.
I would not call it a slouch. I did like the fact of, there were some great callbacks at certain points in the matchup.
I agree.
Having Seth and Drew start also was a great touch because of the battles that those two guys have had over the years, and to the fact that they're both kind of the workhorses. Seth Rollins banging Drew off off of CM Punk's pod and Punk yelling at him. Punk felt like he was a Blackhawk in a penalty box probably the whole night. Because he pretty much just the whole time was just talking shit from inside the pod, and also fixing the LED light strip that kept falling.
It seems like the fans at that point were more engaged with him fixing that light than they were the match.
I know, because he's just the fans of Toronto are weird, you know. Because and I expected them to kind of give him a weird reaction too, because the last time he was in front of the Toronto crowd was at World's End, not World's End, but I believe the New Japan and
things,
the Worlds Collide show between New Japan and AEW, which he performed at I think in 2023, and he did not get a great reaction in front of the Toronto crowd. So I was wondering if he was going to get a decent reaction or a boo or something of that nature. But no, they reacted to everything he was doing well. So it wasn't like he really got a negative, not like Pat McAfee apparently. Who's gone through some shit. But there's some tension right now between us and the Canadians, Pat. You got to understand. There's just some certain things you might want to, hey, let's some things better left unsaid, especially this time right now with the Canadians. So we're not disparaging our brothers at the North because I'm wearing a shit. Never mind who I'm wearing, but but I have no problem with Canadians at all. So I just want to put that out there. None whatsoever. So I don't want them making death threats against me or anything like that. I've always loved the Hart family. Wahoo. Yeah. I like Michael J. Fox and William Shatner too. They're both Canadian. Okay, let's go back.
What the fuck is that?
I know, right?
Like, what is that?
I know, Dan. I don't know what I'm doing. But no, this match was really, really well put together. And of course, Seth Rollins, we knew was kind of the spoiler in this. Also, the Drew McIntyre getting eliminated so quickly by Damian Priest again, which pretty much is setting that match up.
Yep.
Which everybody thought, well, it's going to get changed now. McIntyre is going to be doing something else.
Nope.
Not true.
Nope. Don't need to change that at all at this point.
Nope. And that seems to be the angle that they're going with. And then...
Listen, I'm sure that Drew is going to attack him on SmackDown. Like,
of course.
Let's just be real.
Of course he is. Which is fine. I mean... it's just... I love Drew. I mean, he's just one of those solid dudes that just all the time just is going to be a solid performer in the ring. And he's never really I've never really seen Drew be lazy, especially since he's come back into this new form that he's been in since his first go around. When he came back, he's just been one of my favorites. So, of course, I would want him maybe to get more of a better WrestleMania match. But again, it's against a former world champion that...
I mean, they're both former world champs, exactly.
Yes.
And they've built it over the last couple of weeks where, Reese is kind of shitting on him. He was really not on Drew's McIntyre's radar, so to speak. And listen, now he is.
Yes,
it's not only at the Rumble, but here too. He's mouthing off to him and eliminating him. So you can now make it make sense. Whereas before it was a little loose, now you've kind of solidified it.
I think, personally, this is maybe how I would have done it, which that's my point of view, which it might get me heat. I don't even care. But Drew McIntyre and Gunther... one-on-one for the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't know many people that would have kind of not hated that.
Yeah, but they've kind of done it already.
I know they have.
It's been a while. It was like 2 years ago at this point, but
But it's for different stakes, and
That's
Drew is the
true.
baby face. And to
I
also,
mean, that's an arguable point right there that he's the babyface. But
now he's not the baby face, but he's just like, well, he's kind of like a tweener because he's kind of like in a weird spot because he's going to get booed, but also he's getting cheered.
right.
So he's kind of like in that weird spot right now because he's a heel technically. He's a heel, but at the same time he's this kind of like heel that has certain points where it's like, well, he's not like a complete despicable heel. Like he's just like kind of a truth telling heel. He's just a hater, but that's okay. Like I don't mind him being a hater. Like I can get behind that. So but it's kind of it is kind of surprising though that it's just I don't know. I feel like having him in a world championship match would make sense, but again, I understand with giving Jey Uso the spot completely, but that's just how I feel. At least at the moment, it's like with Drew.
But with Drew, you could still build him up regardless. Even if
No,
he's
I
not
know.
in the main event, you could still build him into a high-profile feud. Which I'm not. I love Damian Priest, and I'm not saying that's what this is because I know there's people out there that like him, hate him, whatever. But I feel that if you don't do it this year, it's okay. He's still in a feud that's at WrestleMania, number one, which you can make the argument that any feud at WrestleMania is a high profile feud. But you can still build him as a heel for the next X amount of time and have him challenge at any of the PLEs. Let's be honest. Like
I feel like
he's that
though
solid.
I feel like 8 of the I feel like because I got to exclude Cena. I feel like 7 of these guys from the last 2 matches. Well, actually, no. Never mind that. 8 of these guys, because I got to throw Damian Priest in there too. I don't want to disrespect Damian Priest because I like Damian Priest.
I like him. Yeah.
There's like 8 guys at these. No, I got to exclude Logan Paul too. So it's still 7. So it's 7 people from the last 2 matches that are viable candidates to be a world champion. That's not including Gunther. That's not including Cody Rhodes, and that's not including Jey Uso, who are all in the title picture right now. That is a stacked, and that's also not including Roman Reigns. So you're talking about 11 guys. 11
You
guys
can make
that
the
are all
argument for more
vying
that
for
we're not even
2 world
talking about because they weren't
championships.
there that night.
That's true. There's also viable contenders like Jacob Fatu, LA Knight. Like that is how stacked this roster is, and this is how stacked of how you have big money talent in the company right now of just absurd amount of talent, and all these guys right now they're on top. And they all are vying for the top spot. And that's why it's like everybody's just like, why do you have to add these titles? Because you got to spread the fucking wealth around. Because what are you going to do? Like, you got to have these guys fight for something at the end of the day.
I mean, listen, it's the same for the women. Let's be real. That's why they introduced the women's U.S. and intercontinental titles, because they have an overabundance of talent.
And we're not bringing up Braun Breaker. We're not bringing up all the talent that they have in NXT. We're not bringing up, it's how that this roster, this entire company, this entire roster right now is just brimming with talent, and talent also that is talent that is getting over with fans, talent that is selling merchandise. This is how this company, how strong it is. And this is part of what's going to be, we're going to talk about in a bit, but more or less that this is just how strong that everything is, and just how this company is just printing money. And for a long time, that the way that things are set up, that this is going to be a thing for a long, long time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, they've built it around a core guys that are getting a little bit older, but you still have now these younger guys that are coming in. You mentioned Braun Breaker. That's a perfect example. Braun Breaker isn't even 30 yet. He's not
Trick
even
Williams.
28 yet. Trick's another one. Yep. That younger pool of talent that is up and coming. That in the
Don't
next,
forget about Ethan Page. Don't forget about
Yeah.
Ricky Saint. This is like the insane amount of talent right now that they just are going to keep getting
Yep.
that were misused in other companies. Oh, Penta, for who they just signed. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you have your core set of guys that are a little bit older. You have this new upcoming set of guys that are either much younger or at least a little younger that you can build your company around in the next few years.
Yes. And it's just the one thing I think we were worried about in this contest, this whole matchup, other than is Logan Paul going to screw somebody over? Logan got eliminated in the spot that he should have, which I think was third.
Yeah.
Then, of course, and then Rollins gets eliminated next, and then of course it's then which we called down to Cena and Punk, and then of course we get the little callback between Cena and Punk at the certain points, and then when you think Punk's going to be able to get it going, here comes Rollins, the stomp that sets up Punk getting him set up in the STF, and Punk passes out, and John Cena wins the Elimination Chamber. So, as we're all kind of like, LOL, Cena wins, they raise the chamber up. John Cena is celebrating. And then Cody Rhodes' music hits. And they both have kind of like an exchange of respect, and then we hear the music of the final boss. And The Rock. And The Rock wants an answer from Cody Rhodes after he presented Cody Rhodes with more of an offer for his soul the night before, offering him a pickup truck and, of course, more wealth than anything that he could possibly imagine. And Cody Rhodes told The Rock,
Hey,
that
Rock, go fuck yourself.
That's a bad word.
that is still, out of all the things, because we came into last week and we kind of said that, Mac and I especially too, we've kind of said that they've kind of made Cody kind of look like a bitch recently. And that moment I felt like
what happened after, but yeah,
that no.
it's not his fault. I know.
It's not his fault what kind of happened. And we'll get to that. But like the thing with Cody is that at least for a moment, this kind of righted the ship as far as like, okay, like you have now that moment, that Stone Cold moment that he had against Austin, that he had against McMahon. You had that Stone Cold moment that he had against McMahon. So it's just like, okay, this is going to be that moment that you're going to be able to replay for eons and eons and eons. And the funny part is it is being replayed for eons and eons, uncut. It's on their YouTube page.
Yeah.
It's not uncut. Like they've left it in completely, which is a completely different, which is amazing to me. The fact of that this is going to be one of the all-time moments in the history of the industry. And he tells Rock, hey Rock, go fuck yourself. And they leave it in. And it's still now going to be one of the most celebrated moments. I guarantee you there's going to be a shirt of this. There should be. Because this is going to sell like
license that, dude.
They can do like
they
can put the asterisk in, and no, they can't go.
That's true.
They can do this because this is a moment this is a T-shirt that is going to sell a shit ton, and I feel like that this is this is definitely one that I think fans can get behind with Cody, and you can watch in the background. with John Cena. John's playing the role. John's like, hey, bud, like, hey, he's loving it. He's pumping his fist in the background. He's just like, oh, this is great. This is great. And then after that, John pulls him in for the hug. And we see Cena's expression just completely change to complete anger. And he's looking clearly at The Rock. Rock gives him the throat slit. The embrace stops. And John Cena does the unthinkable. He kicks Cody Rhodes in the balls. And it has happened. John Cena, a beloved babyface since the year 2004, after 21 years as of the number one babyface in WWE history, broken all records previously held for all-time Make-A-Wishes. He even saw his last Make-A-Wish kid that day, right before the turn. John Cena is now a full-fledged heel, and now has aligned himself, corporately at least, with the final boss, The Rock. I called it last week. I said, this is either going to go down two ways. I said, Drew is going to win. Cody is going to line himself with The Rock. Or, so I kind of gave you three scenarios. Because Mac really thought that Cody was going to turn. And
I mean,
that was...
I would have preferred that than
I would have
winning.
I get why people are pissed. I get why you're... And I like your consistency.
I want Cody Lander, man.
But at the same time, I appreciate the decision that they have made in saying that Cody Rhodes, he's selling so much merch as a babyface. It's like you really want to stop that machine. Where with John, it's like he's still going to sell a lot of merch. It's just going to be a different way. This is, without question, it is one of the top turns in professional wrestling history. It is automatically, at least as far as in the pop culture era, and as far as the relevancy in pop culture, it's probably the most successful turn in WWE history as far as heel turns is concerned. I would say Zbyszko's heel turn in 1980 against Bruno Sammartino was better, and also a bigger kind of implication in professional wrestling, just because of the fact also drew a lot more heat. Considering the police would go to Larry Zbyszko and be like, yeah, stay the fuck out of Little Italy. And also, too, at Shea Stadium, there was the finish was going to be Zbyszko winning against Bruno at Shea Stadium in a cage match. But they had to go with Bruno because there was a concern that if Larry Zbyszko defeated Bruno Sammartino, he wouldn't have made it back to the dugout alive. So that was how much heat that scenario had, especially for Larry. Because there were certain moments that it did get hairy and dangerous, especially, too, when you take out a beloved figure like Bruno Sammartino, and, two, he may or may not have connections with certain friends of ours, which they which could have crossed over into the real life situation. As far as business is concerned, I would still put this behind Hogan, because this doesn't
build anything except a WrestleMania match.
Yes, and also at the same time, this is not the only thing that this is helping is the gate to WrestleMania.
That's it.
And also, this is helping, and it is a credit to John in the sense of that, okay, you're finally doing it. However, this is at a time where you really didn't need to. Like when Hogan did it.
Listen,
When Hogan,
hold
when
on
Hogan,
a second. Hold on a second.
go ahead.
This needs to get said. This isn't for anybody except for John. What Hogan did was for business. Hogan was still going to be there in the next year or two. John's not.
Yes.
The only person this benefits is John.
No, it benefits the gate. And it benefits business.
You know what
too,
I meant.
because
You know what I meant.
I understand that, but you also have to look at it and say too, it does benefit business and benefit the company from the standpoint of that the pop culture relevancy of this event and this turn is astronomical, because you have Jon Stewart going on the Daily Show the very 2 days later and talking about a world news event and equating it to what is going on with Ukraine, Russia, and the United States situation. And he is able to kind of break this down. Like, it's just, you're watching it, you're just like, what is this? Like, what the fuck am I watching? But it's just, when Hogan turned, we weren't in a social media era, right? So it's not like, but this is the relevancy of the Hogan turn, and that I think that people need to realize, and why that this happening now
the
for
industry. That's the thing,
right? I'm getting to that, but like this here, everybody is talking about WWE. Yes, more people now know about this and are probably getting into it because of what's going on. But WWE was already doing record business when this turn happened. So when Hogan turned, this happened in the summer of 1996. Before I left to leave for summer, no one at my school was talking about anything that was going on in professional wrestling. Not a damn thing. I come back the end of August, the beginning of September, every motherfucker on the planet wants to talk about it. Because of the Hogan turn. And the implication that it had on pop culture after that. Because of the fact that, people are still talking about that Hogan turn to this day, and it's coming up on 30 years next year since that happened. This is an all-time moment, yes. But at the same time, this is a all-time moment that has short-term implications. Now, however, which I think, and again, as we get closer to the match, we'll of course discuss it and preview it more. But this is going to lead to just this one match. It might lead to probably a series. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think just because of the fact that he's going to be on SmackDown. Pretty much, they already have him scheduled.
Well, they have
set aside
WrestleMania. I don't know about after that, but
after that, yeah, they have him booked.
Oh, is it for?
He's booked. Yes, he's booked for a few shows in May. So, and I think June too. I don't know the exact dates, but I think that that he's been at least scheduled and announced for some shows coming up around then. So I don't know if that implications where who's winning at what at WrestleMania, who's going to be involved. Maybe this makes the perfect sense of why. This might be the perfect opportunity for us to be like, well, we didn't get Stone Cold last year, but we might get him this year. That's
rumor going around.
That's kind of which also kind of makes complete sense because you think about like now that this is the corporate chosen one with Cena, and now it's Cody is the Steve Austin of this era, and now Austin coming back to help defeat the corporation again. Like that kind of implication to it, and that kind of callback moment where, and two, it's just that's where I think that probably it might lead to. But again, I think as time gets closer, we'll get more into that. But this is, if Vince McMahon did this, it would have been terrible. So, like this was even talked about going back to like 2012.
Yeah.
Of Cena doing this, and it was all kind of laid out of this being done. Cena wanted to be done and a certain way. Yes, I understand how my friend feels and my partner feels, and
Well, you know what?
He
wasn't even the biggest heel of the night, so I'm okay with that.
No.
The biggest heel of the night was Travis Scott.
Travis Scott was the biggest heel of the night. The guy of why the fuck are you there? And two, it's a work, brother. That's
well, somebody should have told him that because he slapped the shit out of Cody.
He did, and it's just like he's thinking too, like, if I hit him, he can take it. It's just like, no, stupid, you can't really hit them.
That's why
like,
he got a ruptured eardrum because of it. But okay,
this is the illusion of it, you dummy. Like this is it's an illusion. It's not the same. It's not the bullshit that you can just go out there and just be like, he's probably thinking to himself, damn it, another lawsuit. But no, this was he was the third man, I guess you could say, in this whole thing, which is hilarious. Or was Cena the third man?
I think Cena was the third man.
He's the third man. Who's the third man in this? Oh my god!
It was Cena for that.
I
do have a quick reference actually that was discussed, and I hope this doesn't play an ad when I play this. But I felt like this was kind of apropos when it was discussed.
I felt a great disturbance in the force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced. I fear something terrible has happened.
That was the Cena Nation, as it were, after he turned heel.
There was some great reactions to that. A lot of kids crying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think that part of it is, hey, this comes with the territory. I wasn't like that when Hogan turned, because I think when Hogan turned, I was just like, fuck yeah! Like I'm 13.
I think we were ready for it at that point.
Because we're just like, yes!
Yeah.
And two, it's just like we're in different parts of our lives too, because it's just like we're looking at it from, I'm tired of the G.I. Joe, like, do things for America bullshit. You're at 13, you're just like, that edge is there where you're just like, yeah, man. Like, you want it. And when the NWO came out, you're just like, abso-fucking-lutely. And Hogan turning, like, we were just ready for it. With Cena, I was ready for him to do this in, like, 2012 because I wanted somebody else to get a chance as the babyface, which he should have. CM Punk! CM Punk!
Yeah. If you go back, like the Doctor's Thuganomics, Ruthless Aggression, like he's a heel there.
Yes.
It didn't translate. They turned him into the Marine, and they never looked back. And for all intents and purposes, like I get that, but this just I don't know. For me, having not liked him for so long, it's hard for me to get behind this period. Just I still don't like him. But for me, it's also the fact that it's like, A, too little too late. B, I understand why they did it. We already kind of went through that. I'm not going to rehash that. But at the end of the day, it's just like, it feels like this last gasp of a very desperate man. Because
that's
the last
character
matches,
they're going with.
Which is fine. But, dude, like, he did nothing for Austin Theory. Austin Theory did nothing for him. Any of the other matches he's been involved in the last X amount of time, since he left being a full-timer, he's either lost or he won on the merit of somebody else and did nothing for that person.
That's fair.
It feels desperate. And I get, as you said, that's probably the character they're going to go for in this. And that's great. But my other argument here, and listen, like I've heard he's going to be on some shows and lead up to WrestleMania, but he's not going to be on TV for probably a solid month plus. Unless they do tape vignettes, which is probably not going to happen. So, for the third year in a row, Cody Rhodes has to carry a WrestleMania feud effectively by himself. Last year, I get it. He had The Rock. The Rock was a good foil. He was facing him in night one with Seth Rollins and with Roman Reigns. That's fine. But there's nothing to carry the title match with Roman Reigns. This year is going to be very similar. The year before it was very similar. I don't like that for Cody. That's my only argument for this. I can understand why they went through this, why they did what they did, why they're going with John Cena over the other guys that were in the chamber match. I get all of that. I might not like it, but I understand it from a business perspective. I still don't like it, but I understand it. My issue, though, is, again, you're putting the guy that you are basically hanging everything of the business on in terms of your WWE Undisputed Champion, Cody Rhodes, and making him do this by himself for 3 years in a row. And I don't like it.
Can we play the audio of the presser? Because I think that
Which one? Where he walks in, mic drops, and then walks out? That audio?
no, the Royal Rumble one, the one that I cut, because I want to be able to play that and give more of an understanding of
Give me a sec.
kind of where the thought process.
Hey guys,
I have
it's Jack
of
with
why-
Complain. If you guys watch stream,
That's not that.
Jesus,
That was not the audio we were looking for.
who the fuck is that?
I don't even know.
Don't interrupt my ass. Who the fuck is Jack? Fuck Jack. The fact of the matter is that another thing why I put this below Hogan is because the fact the Hogan one, we had no idea. We didn't have an idea up until probably until he came out, really. Like, even then, we didn't know really that was going to happen. Even though I think the inkling was there of just like, all of a sudden, this is the time he comes out, like, everybody's down in the ring. Oh, fuck, leg drop. Holy shit. Finally, it's about fucking time. Where this, it was, my interest in this kind of started happening after that presser. And after his reaction of being eliminated with Jey Uso at the Rumble, I was just like, because it didn't look like that same look. And I always say, he's not that good of an actor sometimes.
God.
But I felt like with his facial reactions with that, and you kind of read it on his face right there of just like, he's looking at the sands of the hourglass, and he's realizing it's like he's run out of time, and he is chasing the record that he feels he can get to. And he pretty much said in that presser that that was his goal, and he promised that he was going to get it. Do we have that pulled up?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay.
Let me unmute it.
Okay.
And let me press play.
In the 23 years I've been in this business, I know there are different perspectives about my path. But my truth is I've never used my opportunities for a spot that I haven't earned.
Bullshit.
Tonight was special for many reasons. But it has begun to sink in that it was my last Royal Rumble. And at Las Vegas, and looking at the sign when it was down to 2, and I had a moment to let the energy sink in, I realized that Las Vegas is my last WrestleMania. The last time I main evented a WrestleMania was 2013. That's a long time ago.
God.
The reason that hasn't been at the forefront in my mind, I've been a gimmick. I've been the first match. I've been in the middle. I've shared beers with the fans. Because my truth, my perspective is I've always done what's best for business.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Tonight, standing in that ring, I wanted this experience to be a tour of goodwill. I've openly admitted I don't know how much I have left in the tank, and I just wanted to do something that would be nice for all of us to get together and have a good time. Unfortunately tonight, it dawned on me that that's not best for business. What is best for business is I main event WrestleMania. And what is best for business is for the first time I confidently say that I'm going to win a 17th championship. So I'm announcing tonight that I will compete in the Elimination Chamber. And I'm saying that because after 23 years of loyal service to this company, I feel that opportunity is earned. And yes, I'm flying back to Hungary to film a movie, so what I'm going to do is give my 5 other opponents 1 month to slander my name and bolster their self-confidence the best that I can. I told Toronto when I announced my retirement that I was grateful for the city and I would be back. And I would be back to kick ass. It is time to walk that talk and be who I say I am. I am going to the Elimination Chamber to win.
A bitch.
And I'm going to main event my final appearance in WrestleMania and win a 17th championship. Because that's what's best for business. And I say that because it is not best for my ego. It is not best for my business. I have built my existence here off of hard work, loyalty to this company, and respect for all of its branches. I will win 17 not for me. I will win 17 to someday shake the hand of the person who wins 18. Thank you very much.
But no one's going to win 18. You know that. No one's ever going to win 18, you fucking asshole. No one's ever going to approach that fucking number again. Those days are over. They're not going to hot shot again.
I don't want to say that because you got guys like Braun Breaker that are still very, very young.
They're not going to do.
I don't think they will either, but I'm
like
just saying.
Anymore.
I'm just saying.
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't think
it's going to happen either. But again, he's
just,
young enough that they could. But the thing is, it's like that Cena has to realize is like it's not 2014 or 2015 where he had nobody else, right? Like you had the older generation that was still hanging around, like your Triple H's, your Shawn Michaels, your Undertaker, and then you had guys like Cena who are still there, but kind of on the tail end as well. But you had that newer pool that was up and coming that have been your consistent performers for the last 10, 15 years, depending on who we're talking about. You have guys like Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes, even though he left for a while, he's back, and he was also kind of in that mid-generational kind of pool at that time. And I say it that way because it's impactful, right? Like, he was still there. Cody was there when he was there. One of them were. But the thing is, it's like, the thing that he's like, oh, I never used my opportunities in this business. Yeah, okay, dude. But you did.
You did.
But you did. And I hope we don't get copyrighted for that song. There's no lyrics, so hopefully we won't. But, like, I don't care about this. I do to a point, right? Don't get me wrong. I think this is a good business decision. I still don't like the guy. I'm never going to like the guy. He has 5 moves. I don't care. I just don't. The ball spot is more engaging to me than him.
It's hard to kind of...
Really? Nothing?
No, it's good. That was good. Okay. I'm sorry.
All right.
I didn't mean to make you die on the vine on that one.
Go fuck yourself!
That's how I feel sometimes. But it's just like, really nothing. Like,
I mean, I thought it was pretty fucking good.
I thought that was good. Actually, I'm sorry. I didn't give you the. Because the thing about it is because it's just you're right. You're right. Like I'm sitting here now, but I'm trying to equate this to.
So hold on a second. I'm sorry. Let me jump back in for a second here because this is so telling, right? So you look at a guy like Cody, you look at a guy like Roman Reigns. They have more than 5 moves each. Let's first say that, right? Even a guy like last year, like The Rock, right? 'Cause he's in the main event with those two and Seth Rollins in a tag match for night 1. Same thing. They can all wrestle.
Yes.
I don't care what the hell you say. I don't care how much you love the guy.
John Cena can't wrestle.
I think the hard part. I'm trying to equate John Cena to somebody like an athlete that just ran kind of like unopposed for years and just was dominating, but it was in an era where he just kind of ran unopposed. Like there was no one that was on his level as far as like talent is not even talent. It's just as far as like the machine just put all their chips on him for years, and it's just he just kept riding this company and making them. Yeah, he was a massive draw for the company. At least they thought.
I think I can help you with this.
Yes.
Not a athlete per se. However, he is every NFL owner that has ever won a championship. And I can name a few, and you could probably think of who I'm thinking of as well, that takes the credit for what his team does.
Oh God.
Yep. You got it. And that is John Cena. John Cena is that NFL owner that takes all the credit for putting this team together and for the winning attitude that they have. Meanwhile, it is everybody else under the owner that wins those championships, from the coaches to the players. That is John Cena.
Jerry Jones is John Cena.
I mean, listen, I think it's very funny that I'm seeing more and more John Cena videos of him on Total Divas, and he's an absolute heel.
Oh God.
I think it's very funny that those are coming out now.
I think that show broke him because I remember people started to like The Miz when he started, and especially Maurice too, when they started doing the impressions of Nikki and John Cena.
Yeah.
And they were a better John Cena and Nikki Bella than the actual John Cena and Nikki Bella.
That's why he went over.
Yeah, and that's why, like, Miz at that point, that's actually, too, with me, with Miz, it was just like, all right, buddy, forget all that. I like you. Like, you're good. You're good with me, like, for the rest of your career. Because it's just, that show didn't help him at all, as far as my opinion of him goes, as far as I'm concerned. I feel like that this could have had more of an impact on business when they were struggling, and could have kind of changed the tide a little bit. If he did this in 2012, it would, even though too, the argument can be made. It's just like, yeah, but it's just, Hogan did it, and Hogan's career went on for years after that. That bought him another 5 years at least on top of the card.
Easily.
Yeah, without question. Even you can make an argument that it was like 6 or 7 years because it carried over into 2002, 2003. But this John Cena heel turn, it's like it's happening at a time when the company really doesn't, like, is it going to help business? Sure. But is it going to help business significantly? They're already doing fucking great business as it is. It's like, how much better can it be with him doing this? Maybe it's going to do better drawing power. Maybe they're going to sell a lot more tickets on night 2. Maybe that's a big part of it. They'll sell more packages on night 2 because this is something that people are going to want to watch. This is going to be a moment where, this is going to be a really, if you want to talk about marquee, this is a marquee kind of matchup here. With the stakes just got a lot bigger. The story got bigger. As much as Mac and I complained about John Cena winning and going on to WrestleMania to face Cody in a title matchup, now the stakes are higher. Now the stakes are different. Now it kind of makes more sense from that perspective. But Mac is right also, because it's another part-timer again having to face Cody Rhodes. And Cody Rhodes has already done this in back-to-back years. So now he has to three-peat it again. And that's unfair to him as a talent, because it's just like, again, it's like, I got to wrestle a fucking broom here, or I got to work with a broom, because it's an inanimate object that I got to work with, because the fucking guy's not here every week.
I mean, he might as well be wrestling a broom because John Cena sucks. Listen,
Yes,
listen.
that's the continuing.
Do you remember our arguments?
Theme.
It will forever be my theme. Listen, do you remember when we thought Sam about Triple H? How we felt back then? He was kind of limited in the ring. How the sledgehammer was a crutch.
Oh God, yeah.
It's worse with Cena. Triple H could wrestle. Let's be real. Like, if you look back at that time,
I always
Triple
knew
H
Triple
could
H could wrestle.
Right. But at the time, he became limited.
It
Especially,
felt like that, yes.
Well, not just that, but especially around the time he tore his quads. Right. I feel like after that, it was noticeable, more so than potentially it was before that. Rightfully so. Right. Like, you can't make that argument.
I thought after the after the first one, he did okay.
Same when he tore
at least
both
that first year.
Jericho, though.
Then there was the second tear, and then I think he came back. When he came back in 07, 08, he was in great shape.
He was.
And also, like, he put on his match quality got a lot better. I think 03, 04, 05 a little bit. It was a little difficult.
Oh yeah, man. Like he it's like he stopped working out for a little bit at that point too.
Yeah, it's just.
Listen,
well,
man,
there were there were allegations around that time.
Yeah, no, I know, but at the end of the day, just making the comparison for a second of different times when we felt different wrestlers could not wrestle or were bad wrestlers, whatever you want to call it, right? No, John Cena still sucks. Sorry, not sorry. I don't need to see him do a 5 knuckle shuffle to fucking Cody Rhodes. I don't need that. And honestly, if they make him do, I'm just gonna bottom line it this way: if they make a heel John Cena do any of that hokey shit he normally used to do as a face, then this is for nothing. I'm just gonna say it that way. I'm sorry.
Can you bring up your R-Truth theory? Because I actually am a big fan of that. Like, I really like that idea.
Absolutely. So I was thinking about that this week. I texted it to you and this other guy earlier today, kind of in preparation of the show, actually. I completely forgot about it, so I mentioned it, so thank you. I think if you're going to get a heel John Cena over as a heel and get him more heel heat, you have to have John Cena face R-Truth. You absolutely have to. And John Cena, as much as I shit on him and hate him, and probably still wouldn't want this either, let's be real, because I love R-Truth, he needs to absolutely destroy R-Truth. Absolutely do it. And he needs to do it before WrestleMania to get that heat on him. That's what they need. He is John Cena's biggest fan. Loved him since growing up, apparently. Even though he's older than him. But if you are going to have R-Truth still be that guy, John Cena's biggest fan, John Cena as a heel needs to come out and just absolutely destroy him.
I think it's. I agree. I think it needs that moment of kind of brutality. One thing that people were talking about this week that always kind of bothered me was when people were just like, "Oh man, it's like I hate when people talk about how the Austin heel turn was. It was a shocking moment, but it was a terrible fucking heel turn. Just because the fact that did not translate to the audience at all, and the fact of that drove more people away from the product, if anything, because that was just around the time that the power of WWE had pretty much taken over, and the fact of that they were the only game in town. And
Well, the only relevant one, anyways.
well, it's just the first Monday night of the new Monday Night Television Wrestling, which was one show. You have Steve Austin out there cutting a promo and working along with Vince McMahon, and a lot of people didn't want that, and they tuned out because of it, which I think Austin regrets that heel turn. He's even said it. He says if I had to go back and do it over again, he would have stunned Austin, McMahon, and then they just would have went off and running there. Jim Ross has said it best. He's just like, nobody wants to see John Wayne, shake hands with the Indian, It's just, no one wants to see that. And that's kind of what,
That's what that was, basically.
that's what it was. And I think that's what people need to realize, that's why I say that the whole Austin heel turn really did kind of not translate well to the audience. Is it memorable? Yes. But I also think it's memorable because it was a shocking moment to end WrestleMania, yeah. But at the same time, I remember after that match, I remember immediately after that happened, I'm just looking at my friends and I'm like, that didn't make any sense.
I just, to me, you can make this make sense. But there are caveats, just like everything else in wrestling and in life even too. If you do this and The Rock is not around at all, and he's not even at WrestleMania, and because we don't know, right? Then I think this entire thing is stupid. I'm going to start with that. You could, Austin has kind of said, "I'll be around if Cody needs me." He's been interviewed and he's like, "I'm not talking to them right now. I don't know anything about it." So there's that speculation there too, right? And last year, WWE did not meet a number that Austin wanted, so it didn't happen. Because arguably, the Undertaker spot should have been Stone Cold Steve Austin. Everybody knows that.
But if he's there this year, that makes up for last year.
I 100% agree, but I think he should only be there if The Rock is there.
No, I agree.
So if The Rock is not there, by default, we can argue that Austin wouldn't be there. Then what's the point of the whole heel turn? Make it make sense. That's the thing. If this is it, and then they don't see either The Rock or John Cena again until WrestleMania, save maybe a vignette here or there, then, as I mentioned earlier, and you agreed, then Cody Rhodes has to do this all by himself again for the third year in a row, which is stupid. On top of that, again, what would have been the point of him siding with The Rock if The Rock isn't even there and he just ends up losing, which is, realistic. It's probably going to happen anyways. You can't drop this.
Hey, Rock! Go fuck yourself!
And just don't build it at all.
No, he's got to be a mania.
I agree.
He's got to be a
I
mania.
agree 100%.
I mean, I don't know if it's going to have the same implicate, because remember he did both nights last year, but I think night 2, that's all he'll need to kind of make
Yeah,
his.
he doesn't need to be both nights.
He doesn't need to be at night 1. He just needs to be at night 2 to kind of have his. So maybe he can get away for a couple of hours if he's working in the middle of a project or whatnot, because he seems to just be able to do that now. I mean, it's funny. He's been able to be on television more than John Cena has in recent months, which to me is fucking
How
incredible stat.
So hold on a second. I don't think we actually talked about this. So I want to go back to SmackDown just for a quick second. Bravo to Logan Paul for coming out to John Cena's music.
Yes, fantastic.
That
Really-
was phenomenal.
Really also kind of set the tone where, because then you're thrown off. You're like, oh, is Logan Paul and John Cena going to face at WrestleMania now? Like,
Well, apparently, from what we learned on Raw, it might be him and AJ Styles at WrestleMania.
yes, that seems to be, which great for AJ Styles. That is kind of a big
That's
kind of
a great
marquee
match
matchup.
too, honestly.
That really is. That really is. So, like,
I don't hate that at all.
I don't.
At
And
all.
it gives AJ something like a real marquee matchup to do, because you don't know how long we have left with AJ Styles, unfortunately. So in the wrestling business, because he is getting up there in age. So
I think he's
I want
47 if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, and he's already said that he doesn't want to work past 50. So
Can't say I fucking blame him.
It's
Cannot
like,
say I blame the guy,
really?
man. Yep.
and I'm just like I'm in my early 40s, and I'm just like, oh God, when's retirement?
Yeah, seriously. Same way, my friend. Trust me.
But no, this is yeah. I mean, it's amazing that so many people are talking about this. It has really been that kind of an interesting week of just domination of a headline of just. It did shift the industry. I mean, the fact is, though, again, is that I think that WWE is doing really great business. I mean, this is kind of just like a cherry on top of the fact that all they're just doing right now is printing fucking money. And it's just like, oh, great, now we're going to print even more money. It's like, yeah, all right. Like, it's just like the rich get richer on this. And the world is talking about it. I think a lot of people now also, it has bought in Triple H a lot of goodwill too, because there was a lot of people online that were just like, okay, I'm never questioning him again. Like, I can't, because we all sit there and complain and talk about the long game with him, where it's just like everything he does is for da 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 da. And then this past weekend, everybody was just like, okay, I'm never questioning him again. I'm just going to sit there and let him cook, and I'll know where he's going,
You know what it
and
is
I'll just
for me?
let it happen.
I think for me, this is tough. When it comes down to it, he's kind of hot or kind of cold. He's never really this in between, and I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way when you think about it, because really what happens is his top storylines are always around this season: Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and WrestleMania. And you've seen it with Cody, right? Cody Rhodes comes back, last 3 WrestleManias, including this one, starts around the Rumble, goes into Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania, and then there's that cool off period. You see it a lot with like AJ Styles to a lesser extent too, right? Like right after WrestleMania last year, he's facing Cody Rhodes twice for the title. Granted, he gets injured. Now he's coming back, and he's going to have a high-profile match probably with Logan Paul at WrestleMania. Roman Reigns is part-time, but you can make the same argument. Seth Rollins had a lot of time off this past year, so that's a little bit different, but kind of the same, right? Some of these guys have, for lack of a better term, kind of an off season. Cody really didn't get booked that well most of the year. He had a couple of good matches here and there. He had been solo, which was forgettable. And I think the other big thing he did was that tag match with Roman Reigns, and then after that, it was like, okay, we're gonna stick you with KO, which will be okay, but not nearly as big as your stuff you're gonna do around WrestleMania. So I think that's part of it, where he books certain guys around certain events and seasons, and some of that is bigger than others. Just look at Jey Uso. Jey Uso's gotten booked very well for most of the year, but now he's got a big storyline around WrestleMania. Same with Cody, like I said. So I think that is part of it, right? Where some of these guys are not booked at a consistently high level, so people start being like, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you get shit like this where it's like, oh, fuck. Never mind.
Never mind.
I'm going to shut my mouth now.
All right, you got me. I'll shut up now. And again, I don't think anybody else really could have handled the turn this well. I guess it was a very well kept secret inside WWE. Like only a few people knew.
So it's funny you say that. I'm hearing that he's basically at the point where he's releasing fake news because he's trying to keep the secrets.
Well, yeah. I mean, he has to. I mean, you get to a certain point where it's like, again, we were talking about a couple of weeks ago how these WWE fans were complaining about the fact that they're not predictable anymore. And it's like, why are we having this conversation? I'm sure a lot of it has to do with like FanDuel and DraftKings.
Maybe.
I'm sure that might be a part of it now because people have wagers in an industry that's predetermined. So, like that's why you're pissed because you're losing money on an entity that is predetermined. It's like, are we at that point, guys? Come on.
I guess so. But why don't we jump to Raw? Because Raw,
Yes,
definitely
massive implications.
started with a bang too, man.
Ugh.
So CM Punk comes out. We're not going to talk about everything about Raw, but we'll talk about some of it. Yeah, tries to lay a pipe bomb. Starts with The Rock because apparently Pat McAfee decided to say Rock's name, so he went right for it. And then he cut right into little brother Seth Rollins.
And the new Fight Forever for WWE. We have Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and now we have Seth Rollins and CM Punk. But Seth Rollins also has
brawl,
Roman Reigns.
though.
Oh, it's fantastic.
What a brawl. I remember saying it in the chat the other day. That was probably a top 5 brawl
Yeah.
that WWE has ever put on television.
Yes.
They went at it, and then they found each other later, went at it again, and now the next Raw, we will have a steel cage match between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. And all I'm going to tell you, spoiler alert, you heard it here first, you're probably going to get Roman Reigns involved somehow.
Probably. The Roman factor is coming in, but Roman is still butthurt. Probably with him and Seth are always gonna, because that's another one. Seth and Roman, they'll fight forever. And then the CM Punk factor of the Royal Rumble, he's still gonna be pissed off about that. He's gonna be pissed off at Seth Rollins. You wonder if this matchup of this rumored triple threat match is gonna have implications on anything coming up. So there's so many factors coming out of this.
They could do that.
Matchup.
They could do that. Winner gets a title shot at, Backlash. They could do that.
Who knows? I mean, it's really going to be the the implications to everything right now is so high. Like, because again, like I talked about the Elimination Chamber, and I talked about how top heavy WWE is right now with the talent of all these you have Seth Rollins, who is a former World Heavyweight Champion, one of the main eventers of Night 1 at WrestleMania last year. You have Roman Reigns, main evented both nights of WrestleMania last year, and they're not going to be involved in title matches. Then you have CM Punk, who was injured last year, but one of the hottest still properties and wrestlers in WWE, and he's got to be involved in a big main event matchup. So it's just, you wonder what the implications are if somehow this triple threat match is somehow going to be the main event of Night 1. Because again, we don't know if it's guaranteed that Gunther and Jey Uso is going to be the main event. The implications for this, I think, is probably going to be the main event. I don't know.
Well-
So I don't know if CM Punk's going to be able to be like, well, at least I have my main event.
Well, listen, last year, Drew and Seth for the World Heavyweight title was not the main event.
opener.
Yeah, it was the opener of night 2.
Yeah.
So you are making a very valid point that this very well could be the main event of night 1. And to be 100% honest, even if you don't involve Roman Reigns, still could be the main event of night 1.
It's true.
It still could be. I feel like if it is a triple threat, you just solidified another reason for this to be the main event. But
Yes.
we'll see. I already mentioned the backstage segment, but basically AJ Styles is going to confront Logan Paul. So we'll see what happens with that, but most likely it's been reported that most likely that's going to be another WrestleMania match. But I would say that the biggest shock of the night was the main event, which was the Women's World Championship. Io Sky defeats Rhea Ripley to become the new champion.
Wow. I did not expect that. And
Me either.
Because, of course, the Elimination Chamber, we're thinking, all right, it's probably going to be Bianca and Rhea.
Yep.
And 2 nights later, we're both sitting there, we're just like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Because Io Sky and Bianca have fought before. I don't believe at WrestleMania, though. Forgive me if
I don't think so. I think, if I remember correctly, she cashed in.
it was a SummerSlam.
Yeah, she cashed in at SummerSlam, won it there.
Yeah.
It was Bianca and somebody else. She did the over the moonsault on Bianca, won the title.
I think it was Asuka.
Yeah, it was Asuka.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, but she
right.
beat in quotes, obviously, Bianca Belair to win it.
Right.
Then I think it was the next PLE where they fought and she won there too against Bianca.
Okay.
I believe. Don't call me on that. It's been a while. So, and again, like they were in opposing factions, so to speak, because Io was in a more heel version of Damage Control at the time, and they were basically feuding with Bianca because of Bayley. So that kind of plays a role here. But I'm gonna make an argument here, and I'm hearing different things now about this entire situation. So we'll kind of walk through that. I'm hearing one thing that Rhea might be a little bit injured, right? That's one thing I'm hearing, and this is a segue to get the title off her, so she can quietly recuperate. The other thing I think that is being more documented and more reported at this point is that maybe you have Rhea go back to being a legitimate heel, and this becomes a triple threat match. I personally don't know what to believe, but I can tell you that what I said about this match, Io and Rhea, is that this didn't need to be. It just didn't. People want Rhea versus Bianca. They've wanted it for a while.
Correct.
It's the perfect time to do it. If Rhea is legit injured, okay, fine. I don't know if that's the case. Like I said, it's just one of those things that's being rumored at this point. I can understand making this a triple threat because you can have Io eat the pin, and neither Rhea nor Bianca look weak in the loss at that point. Just Io, which is kind of unfortunate for her because she has become a big babyface again. It's a difficult situation, but for me, again, like this is nothing against Io. I think Io is phenomenal, but
Right.
the people want Rhea versus Bianca. It's like Batista, give me what I want.
Yes, no, that's the matchup. I think the dream matchup that we've all kind of wanted, including myself. That's been the one that I've always said. It's just like, that's it. I mean, we all got a taste of it a couple years ago when Bianca won the Royal Rumble, and the runner-up was Rhea Ripley. But now we either have to wait a little bit longer, or because Rhea is injured, and then you have to start questioning with.
We don't know if that's the truth or not.
We don't know if that's the truth. We don't know if that's the truth at all. We don't know if Rhea is injured. We don't know if Rhea is still factored in. They just have another path or another branch to the story. We don't know. We do have to question, though, if Rhea is injured again. That starts to creep in. Third injury in a year. What is the problem? Can we figure it out? Because 3 injuries in a year. I mean, it happens, but at the same time, it's not a good thing. It's not something I sit there and I'm like, ugh, because it's just that affects long-term planning. And also with Rhea, it's like she's been very stop and go. And I thought too when she beat Liv Morgan on January 6th, I was just like, okay, she's gonna hold this at least through Mania, and then it's just like 6 weeks before Mania, I'm gonna lose to fucking Io Sky. Wait, what?
That's the thing with me too, man. Like I said, like I got a lot of shit for my opinion about Io winning the title. And I have to be clear about this. I have nothing but respect for Io. Nothing but respect for her. She is a phenomenal talent. And she's proved that so long at this point. You see her in like War Games the last couple of years, even in NXT. She puts on the trash can, jumps off the top of the cage. It's like, it's annual at this point to see a high profile spot, with Io Sky and War Games with the trash can. Great. Love it every year. I don't care if it's the same spot every year. I'll eat it up every year. I thought she was a phenomenal women's champion at the time. I think she has phenomenal feuds, phenomenal matches, and she's gotten herself over in a faction that arguably was supposed to still be heel. Her and Dakota Kai, right? They've done phenomenal work together. She just Io's a great champion, a great talent, nothing but respect. But again, I have to be clear about this because people just they want to like rage about this, and it's nothing against Io. It's the fact that people want Rhea and Bianca.
Yes.
That's what people want.
Yes.
It was the same with the rematch with Rhea and Charlotte. People wanted the rematch. Not necessarily because it's Charlotte Flair, kind of like this year, just saying, just throwing that out there.
Never was it.
Yep. People wanted that match because they knew it was a rematch of a previous WrestleMania for the NXT Women's title. People wanted that. They got it. It was a great match. It was perfect. This should have been that same kind of match. It's a high-profile match. It's something the fans have wanted for a while. Again, Batista, give us what we want. And putting the title on Io 6 weeks out of WrestleMania, at least seemingly what the current plan is Io versus Bianca. I have to be honest, and again, it's not a knock on Io, but it feels like a fucking letdown. It feels like a massive letdown. If the plan is a triple threat match, fine. I could accept that as the alternate plan. If Rhea's hurt, that sucks. But Rhea's kind of had injury
Also a little
the last
concerning.
year or so. And concerning for that reason, exactly.
Yeah.
It sucks, but I get it, right? Like, sometimes, people get hurt. You hope it's not a serious injury issue, because, again, she has gotten injured a lot recently in the past year or so. So you hope that she's able to kind of whatever, right? Protect herself.
You wonder if
get
it's a
healthy.
pregnancy. You wonder, you have all these factors that come into play of why a sudden title change like that happens. So
That's a good point.
you know,
That is a
like
point.
she has stated in interviews before, oh, you know, she plans on putting off the whole kid thing. Shit happens, you know, it's just one of those deals. It's like, you know, so you don't know. I'm not saying that's always something where it's just like all of a sudden on Monday, Rhea Ripley has a special announcement. It's like, oh, okay. And then she comes out, yeah, okay, you know, I'm going to go away for a while because I'm going to go be a mom. You're like, oh, shit. You know, like, and that way you can accept it. That way you can walk away from it. You're just like, okay, you know, that's completely acceptable. You know, they won't also fire her either.
No, they won't.
I know some people
Oh,
have made that claim.
you want to go there? You want to do that?
It's hard because it's like it's hard because it's like technically she is from the town that I live in.
Yes, she is.
So it's and her dad. I think her family still lives around here. So it's like,
Oh. Sure, you're all meet up at the Price Chopper.
right, exactly. It's just that they just come to my house. They're just like, why did you say that about? Well, look, I don't think I'm going to say anything wrong. I just think
Supposedly, from what I've seen, she released a video after the interview and said that it was editing and she has nothing but respect for WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, at the end of the day, if that's the case, fine, whatever. But I also understand her point of view. And I'm going to say it that way because there are other female talents that have gone through, I'm just going to say similar things, and they were retained. So
Yes.
the thing about, and again, take it with a grain of salt because editing, creative editing especially, does happen. I don't know how I felt about it because I haven't watched the entire thing back to back. So only watching clips of it kind of sucks in that regard. But she's saying stuff, and again, context is important, and I have to be clear about that because again, I don't know the context in which she said a lot of this shit. But accordingly, what is being documented that she said is that she felt that there was that sexism a little bit with male to female, that females weren't paid as much. That was part of it. That she held it against WWE for firing her because she got pregnant. Even though everybody knew she had issues afterwards with either nerve damage or just nerve issues,
Correct.
I don't know, related to the pregnancy.
Correct.
So I think that has more to do with it than anything else. And I don't know to what degree she could have gotten cleared. I don't know that. Maybe she does, and maybe she felt she was good and the doctors didn't. I don't know. But it's just like I look at her and then I look at Alexa Bliss. Right? Because granted again, Alexa did not have nerve issues or nerve damage from her pregnancy.
Still up for 2 years.
She was still out for 2 years exactly. They retained her and they re-signed her to a new contract.
Correct.
But maybe here's another key difference, and not to knock Carmella down even further, but you can't wrestle. You are the John Cena of the women's division. You suck.
Becky Lynch was out for 1.5 years because of a pregnancy. As soon as she came back, they gave her the championship the very first
Becky
time.
Lynch was also a much bigger talent.
Absolutely. But like but
And Becky could wrestle.
you have to put her, when you make a claim like that, you have to put other people in the same light, even though, yeah, they might be the same, not be drawing the same, but, or even have as much talent as the other person. But you have to say, okay, here's a precedent.
I
We
think
never fired Alexa Bliss for she was out for 2 years. We didn't fire her.
But I don't think she sees it that way, Dan. That's the problem. I think she sees herself And granted, again, I'm speculating, so take that with a grain of salt. I think she sees herself as a much bigger star than what she really was.
Well, I hate to break it to her.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing.
That's the thing that's probably going to make this hard for some people. You were a cheerleader in the town. You were you made it onto the Patriots. I remember the cheerleading coach spoke very highly of you.
This just got real, man.
No, it's just the funny part is that it's like I still have people that are just like, you don't know her. It's like no, I don't know her. Like we've never had a conversation. I think she was like a couple of years like
newsflash. People in the same town do not all know each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't know her. We never met. I didn't know her dad. I think I was there the night that her dad wrestled Razor Ramon. It was Razor Ramon's debut. I think I was in the building that night because it was in the Centrum. But I'll have to go on like history of WWE to look at the house show results. But I don't know her. Never met her. Never had a conversation. She might know who I am. I don't know who she is, except what I've seen on TV. But the fact is that if she was, if this was 10 or 15 years ago, she would have been more highly regarded. But when you try to come up in an era where work rate starts to become a thing for women and you really don't know how to work, you kind of got a problem. And I think that was her issue. I was never a fan of her beating Charlotte Flair to become champion. I was never a fan of her even being the first women to win the Money in the Bank ladder match. I'm just like, no, this is not the right person to do that. She's a gimmick. I thought the best way that she was booked when she was working with R-Truth and she would go out and that was her best gimmick. That I felt like was the best way to use her.
It did work for her, yeah. I agree.
But it was hard to kind of put her in anything else after that. Because it's like, And I remember they even tried, they tried to do they tried to do that reality show with her and Corey Graves, which never made it to air because I heard it was so bad. They didn't want to shop it around. And because they tried to do the Miz and Mrs., but
yeah, I remember.
Neither one of them had the charisma that Miz and Mrs. does. The fact is,
that's why he's on NXT, right?
He is so leaving, and I can't wait till he leaves that company and then bashes him out the door. Man, well, the line was crossed when they got rid of my wife, man. I almost wonder if the reason why she put that video out is because he got reamed out.
I was actually thinking that too.
Fucking
that she
kidding
did that
me.
because she was mad about his deal. I did think about that when it happened.
It's unfortunate kind of what has happened to him, but I'm sorry you're not Pat McAfee, dude. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you don't have the notoriety that Pat McAfee does. I'm also sorry that Wade Barrett is better as an announcer than you are. I'm sorry.
That's the thing.
I'm sorry.
I know people that try to make the argument, it's Wade Barrett's a former wrestler and he's able to be on SmackDown. Yeah, because Wade Barrett actually makes it fun.
Yes.
Wade Barrett's
he's a better announcer.
Yeah, better heel announcer too.
Yes.
For what he's doing at NXT with Vic Joseph and with Booker T, it works.
Yes.
Because Vic and Booker are both faces. Right?
Yes.
And they needed a heel. He's a third chair, but it's a third chair that can work, right? It was never going to work with him, Michael Cole, and Pat McAfee. It was never going to work with him, Wade Barrett, and Joe Test. It just wasn't going to work.
No.
So the next logical spot, you could make the argument, is NXT. But who knows? Maybe Evolve needs a ring announcer and he'll be there. We'll have to see.
Oh my God, that's a good one. See, I'll give you a pop for that one.
That
You
was
deserve
good,
that
huh?
one. Yeah, that was good. You just, yeah. The fact is that I look at him and I just think to myself, I'm sorry, dude. There's just other people that are better than you. Like, yeah, when you're up against like Byron Saxton, of course you're gonna get propped
Yeah,
up.
of
One of the better
course.
ones.
Of course. What was
Like
the
when
other
you're up
guy's
against
name?
guys like
Who's the other guy? I forget. Last year, 2 years ago. The other British guy. Forget.
oh yeah, Nigel. No, not
No, it
Nigel.
wasn't Nigel.
I like Nigel a lot actually. For even when he was on NXT UK.
Yeah, it wasn't him. No. I forget.
There were
I forget the guy's name.
I forget the guy's name, but whatever. But no, it's just when you prop him up against guys that just, quite frankly, are charisma vacuums and aren't very good to begin with. Yeah, of course he's going to be considered great. But when you got guys like Wade Barrett, who's better, when you got guys who are like Pat McAfee, who is so much better than most, and Pat really doesn't have the wrestling knowledge that I'm sure that Corey does, because Corey,
But
I'm sure,
he's the hype man, and it's the perfect
he doesn't
foil
need
to
to.
Cole.
He's perfect. He's perfect at his position. He is the perfect personality to be in the position that he is in. And I'm sorry. I am sorry, Corey, that you feel upset that it's just like you put in all this time. Look, if they came to me and they just said, look, we got to switch you out, I would be like, of course you do. I look at the roster you have, and it's just like, are you going to pay me the same amount of money? Yeah, you just have to go. You just have to work on.
Then put me wherever the fuck
so
you want.
You're going to pay me the same amount of money, and I don't have to travel from place to place every week. Yeah, because pretty much you're just going to be based out of Florida. Oh, sign me the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
it's just
I have to work once or twice a week, and I'll be in Florida all the time. Fuck
and
yeah.
I just have to drive to work every day instead of fly, go to the airport. Oh no, what am I going to do with myself? Like,
I mean,
God.
the only difference is maybe he lives somewhere else. Like, I don't even know where. Staten Island, if you follow Carmelo. Follow Carmella.
Oh, God.
But, like, yeah, we know that's bullshit. But either
Somebody
way,
get a house in this area. I'll just start being like, are you fucking kidding me?
yeah, stop shopping at Price Chopper. I just
They shop at Big Y.
please shop at
Big
Price
Y-
Chopper.
They would shop at Big Y because Big Y is more expensive and more elite. So, like,
I mean, I'm not even gonna say anything, but yeah, probably. I just, okay, it's fine. So he flies out once a week versus, every other day, right? Like that's the thing, and it just for me, I get his point of view. I get that he could see it as a demotion. It's just not, and I want to talk about him for just a quick second and talk about what happened this past week because we are recording on Friday. One of the things that we really haven't talked too much about is WWE 2K25. We're recording on 3/7, and that's when it was released.
yes.
And Corey Graves is not the announcer for Showcase Mode like he was in 2K24. So there's that.
No, it's Paul Heyman, actually.
I know. That's why I'm saying it. I know.
I just, it's fucking Showcase Mode. They had, some of these tasks that they've had is to the equivalent of the,
It's tedious, man.
it's very tedious. It's like the some of the missions we had to do in Grand Theft Auto.
Oh my god.
Like
Oh,
the
don't do
helicopter, the RC helicopter and the RC airplane.
don't do that. Don't do that. I don't need those flashbacks.
I'm sorry, I don't need. Yes, all of a sudden bombs are going off in your head. You're just like rocking yourself back and forth into a corner. You're just I forgot these.
Rage is going on. That's what's going on right now.
I think that's why I'm dreading having to play those levels
The new
in
one.
the definitive collection.
Oh yeah, I know.
I'm like, oh no, I don't want to hit those levels yet.
Yeah, I'll pass on that. Thanks.
It's still nice though that I have all these games on my hard drive now. Thanks to Booran, because he decided to get rid of his Xbox. So he's just like, here's my terabyte hard drive. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Thank you. I'll take
Thank
that.
you so much. I'll take
Yoink.
that. Yoink. It was also nice to go to Eric's over the Emporium in Northeastern and be able to get my Troy McClure figure.
That was awesome.
I have Troy McClure. And also he took some stuff instead of last time where I came back with the same stuff that I brought with me. He just
At least now you know, though.
didn't take. Yes, but he took everything that I traded in. I was able to get a nice credit. I got the stunning Steve Austin Hollywood Blonde figure, which I need to get the Brian Pillman one so that way I can make another tag team to my collection. And then I was able to get a Bailey Survivor Series figure, which was on my list to get as well. So that was always fun to do. Go check out the Emporium in Northeastern. But I also, more importantly, picked up Steph's. It was supposed to be a surprise gift for her 40th birthday, which is coming in the next couple of weeks. The two best things, the two best things to happen in New York in March of 1985. The first happened on March 20th, where my beautiful significant other was born, and the second came 11 days later at Madison Square Garden when the first WrestleMania took place. So two wonderful things happened in New York in the month of March in 1985. But I saw in the background of his video that he usually does a daily video that he's open, showing people what the new stock that he has in every day. And I was watching a video, and he has another part of his store. He has an expansion part. And on the floor of the expansion part looked like a Beetlejuice figure. So I was just like, I want to look at that. Is that the talking Beetlejuice figure, the Kenner one from the 80s? Sure enough, it was. And it was in the box. And Steph and I kind of had a discussion, because I'm like, if I find you one of those, I'm going to buy you one. She really wanted to get the Pee Wee Herman one, because there's a Pee Wee Herman one out, which she still might get at some point. You never know. But they had a Beetlejuice one that was in the box, brand new. So I was going to surprise that to her on her birthday. But that wasn't going to happen. And so she ended up finding out. She didn't find out about it because she was surprised legitimately about it when I gave it to her when I saw her on Sunday morning. But it was still one of those deals of just like, she was like, where am I going to put it? That was her number one complaint about the whole, I don't know where I'm putting this. Like, it's a thoughtful gift. I don't know where I'm going to put it. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just like,
Yep. It's one of those moments where I just kind of go,
Oh, shit.
even though I will say that her friends both were like, do you understand how thoughtful of a gift that is? Like, you've loved that movie since you were like the age of 4 or 5. And he just went out of his way, and literally, he didn't find this at the store. He found this in the background of the store, of another part of the store. And he's just like, hey, how much is that?
yep.
I had this as a child too. And but of course mine was out of the box because my dad told me that, at some point you'd want to keep your toys in the box. And I didn't listen. And I'm sorry that I did. And now that's why everything's in a box. And I still get shit for it. It bothers the shit out of me. Every time I talk to Billy, he's just like, yeah, but you keep everything in the box. And it's just like, fuck you. Like,
I mean,
Don't tell me how to collect, you piece of
yeah,
shit.
I mean, listen, like everybody's different. I mean, for me, it's if I was gonna do stuff like that and start collecting toys, I'd probably keep it in the box too, because you never know. You never know.
You're starting a collection.
Barely.
You still have a collection. It's starting.
Don't do that.
Join us. Join the force.
One of us.
Join the force. I'm coming. You need to join us. Join us in our fun.
Cornbread, damn it, cornbread.
Join us in our fun.
That's my safe word, cornbread.
Well, the next fit, did you see? I don't know if you saw the new Taker Ultimate. I think they've done a Taker Ultimate now for almost every iteration. Because now they have his debut, they have his ministry days, they have his dead man phase from the 2010s.
They needed the American Badass with the snakeskin pants.
No, they're not doing that.
Yeah, they do. But yeah, no, they're not doing it. But they need to.
Why?
Because
that was terrible.
Because it was super rare and it only happened one time.
It was so terrible. Those are the worst pants he ever wore.
It was, but it was super rare and it only happened one time.
But they're doing now the purple iteration. They're doing with the Phantom Mask, which is so it's another iteration, which is fantastic.
Well, they should do that.
Of course, there's a lot of controversy with him right now too, because they are doing another season of LFG.
His fault.
It's not though. I don't blame him for it. It's just all he said was, if you want me to do another season, yeah, I'll do another season if my wife is with me. Why did you fire her?
All he said was, I'll do another season. Excuse me as I burp as I say that. I'll do another season if my wife is with me. So they fired Mickey James. That's not even his fault. I didn't say you could fire her. Exactly. He's like, I didn't ask them to fire her. I just said I want my wife to join me. That's it.
He'll have to have Mickey James on the podcast that way because later, I did not have you fired. I swear.
Dude, WWE needs to just hire her as co-general manager with her husband Nick Aldis and call it a day.
And this is the second time that she's been fucked over by Michelle McCool, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
The Piggy James thing and now this, it's come on. It's you gotta
the
knock
Piggy James thing, she went with it though. God bless her.
And I guess congratulations are in order. The announcement today was made. Lex Luger is the new inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame. Also announced this week the Natural Disasters are going in.
Oh, cool.
Which was not the tag team that I expected to get an announcement this year.
Not at all.
I thought it was going to be Demolition, but
I think everybody did.
There's still time. They might also do it next year. Who knows? But another big announcement too that was made. It was more interesting announcements that people kind of flew under the radar. But no, the Natural Disaster is getting in, which I'm fine with because I love them as a tag team. The more as time gone on, the more I also think that Earthquake was a real badass. And then Typhoon. He's also the Shockmaster, so it's all right, let's put in the Shockmaster.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going in as the Shockmaster, though.
No.
So, I mean, for all intents and purposes, we could just wipe that from history, in my opinion, but...
I mean, no, we shouldn't, because that was a tremendous moment. The Shockmaster, and he just falls through the wall. I mean, it's just... I do have the Shockmaster figure, because they did one... I mean... And he's upside down in the packaging, it makes him look like he fell out of the wall. Of course he is. It's so, and the helmet fell off. The helmet's it's 3 feet from him. It's hilarious. And the other announcement that was made this week was the DLC for WWE 2K25, which included Paul Orndorff, Sid Justice.
Yeah!
But also, it features Abyss. And the biggest surprise of them all, New Jack.
So,
holy shit.
Abyss doesn't surprise me, though.
Abyss has surprised me now because of the TNA relationship, and plus also their
He's also a backstage guy.
Joseph
too.
Park is he's working for the company as a writer and a producer. But also too that's going to be some dream matches there because number one, let's hope they keep the music.
Oh, God, I hope so.
I hope they keep the music originally from the TNA days, but also too that's going to be the and I said it to Billy when we were talking about it yesterday, I think the other day. I said it's like Abyss is going to be able to face his lesser version of Kane, so it's fine. Like, I don't know. I don't get. That's always been my joke of how I've always put like Abyss ahead of Kane for some reason, because I just God,
You hated what
especially
he did with the character, I know.
I just suck it. That was it. Then it was just like this character's dead to me, just dead to me. It's over. Just bury this thing already. But New Jack is another surprise. It was just like, what? I mean, last year I was surprised when they put Sandman in, but I was dubitably surprised this year. I'm just like, New Jack. They knew who he is, right?
I don't even think
not.
he was in WWE at all, was he?
Never.
I didn't think so.
Never.
Sandman at least was.
Sandman was, yeah. Sandman was under contract, but I mean, okay, I'm all for it. It's just like I'm just sitting there and I'm like, New
He tried
Jack?
to kill a guy, right?
Yeah. And I think he has a bunch of justifiable homicides under his belt too, because he was a bounty hunter at one point. So he's like he just
shit.
this wouldn't have happened if he was alive, because I don't think that they would be able to.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No, we can't do this. But no, I'm really excited for the DLC so far. It's like, because apparently though there's also going to be some NBA players involved. So I'm like,
Yeah, I think there's going to be like 3, I think they said.
who are we talking about here? Like, who are we talking about here?
I'm
Like,
assuming it's
gonna be
guys that
involved?
have been shown on their TV before. That would be my guess.
Oh, so probably maybe Robinson from
Probably.
Jalen Robinson from the Knicks. Tyrese Halliburton, I think from the Pacers, maybe Trey Young too, because he appeared to from the Hawks. So that those could also be, or it could be, and Tony Khan does the announcement for me. Yeah,
I knew that was coming. That's
Yeah.
why that's why I said people on their TV, because I knew that reference was coming.
yeah,
All right, yeah, you reached point.
yeah. Sorry, they have a pay per view this weekend, don't they?
Oh, did that shit? I don't know. Oh yeah, they do.
Well-
I forgot about that. I don't even know the name of it.
Right. Well, folks, I think that's enough for us this week.
Oh man.
But I think next week we'll be able to. Next week I think we might do the scroll, and we might actually have some talent from PWW to come on and kind of critique either us or some of the writings that get done. He reached out to me recently, and he's just like, "I want to be on the pod." I'm just like, "Okay, here's my idea."
Because I'm not booked.
Because we are at a time with, especially because it's like 6 weeks till Mania, folks. It's going to be like, so we need to what we call do show prep, and we need to talk about other things other than just like, so how's
you
this
got
card
6
coming
weeks,
up?
man,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
It's just too much.
Yeah, we need to be able to talk to other people on here instead of just like theorizing what's going to happen at Mania, when we have ideas on the card, but at the same time we don't. Like, and just talking about the main events for the next month and a half is just like, you don't want to hear it, so we're going to try to do different things.
Yeah,
We're going to bring other people on to kind of have some fun and break up the monotony a little bit, and
Yeah, if
you know,
we get something that develops, we can talk about it. But other than that, it's just like
major stuff, of course, we'll always try to do our best to report on that. But yeah, this is we are entering a phase where we are going to try to break up the monotony a little bit and not try to preview WrestleMania for the next 6 weeks. This is not like the NFL Network where we're going to sit there and be like, so is Patrick Mahomes? No.
that's like a week or two before, maybe not
Yes.
6 weeks before.
Not 6 weeks out.
You know,
so.
and I know last year we did like our WrestleMania top tens and best to worst, and we ranked them all. But that was a 40th anniversary. Like,
Yes.
we don't need to do that this year.
No,
we
this
don't
year
need to over-index on WrestleMania stuff this year.
We might do a few like obscure things, but I don't think it's going to be like anything like to write home about. So it's kind of where we're at. Kind of giving you like programming, kind of letting you know of what to expect, because we're not going to try to overdo the previews. We're going to try to at least bring you different things in between now and Mania, so that way we're not bored and you're not bored either as a listener or a viewer. So we're going to try to do that as best as we possibly can. And our numbers are growing. We're growing as a brand, which we're excited about. I'm excited about, and I feel like that we all kind of reached a point where it's just like this year is going to be better. Next year is going to be better than this year. It's just that's kind of our plan, and our plan's going to stick to it. So on behalf of myself, Mac, and everybody at PWW, I'd like to thank you for the viewer or listener. Thank you for listening to us on Spotify, Apple, Audacity, wherever you can find this great podcast. And, of course, on Diamond Podcasting Productions on YouTube. And thank you again for listening to PWW Talks. And, Mac, do you have anything to close us out this evening?
Hey, Rock! Go fuck yourself!
Take us home, buddy. Thanks, everybody. Good night.